What does that do to us? What do we need to do to resolve this issue?
Well, Jerry, I mean, you go out there in the blue water, you're going to have this 20-foot significant seas. It's a whole different ball of wax. You're going to have rolling. We've designed this for static conditions, 0.2 G each direction.
Okay.
So it's going to make a big difference.
Okay.
It takes at least 10 days to
10 days. Wow. We don't have that kind of time. We're getting into hurricane season. We have rain today. We can't afford to have those kinds of delays.
Florida's hurricane season is about to start, and any further delays could have serious financial consequences. The decision is finally made to go via the ocean route, in the hope that they can outrun the weather and get to Washington by the August 8th deadline. But when the barge eventually set sail on August 2nd, the weather has taken a turn for the worse. The hurricane season has come early, and it will prove to be the most devastating one in living memory. As the first tropical storms move in, the load becomes a big lightning conductor on the St. Johns River. The safety of the bridge sections is now the main concern. The barge is pushed upstream to Woodrow Marine, from where an ocean-going tug will take over. At the bridge site in Washington, preparations are being made for the heavy lift. Hydraulic strand jacks have been mounted over the bascule girders, ready to pull the 470-ton tow sections 100 feet into the air.
They've been going through all types of scenarios here just to make sure that they're ready. So when that barge comes up the Potomac here in about 5 days or so, they're ready to go to work, and they're excited about it.
The barge is making its way toward the Atlantic Ocean, pulled by the tugboat Jaguar.
The tug Jaguar is outbound approaching the St. John jetties, checking on any inbound traffic around the St. John jetty area. Outbound for sea, be standing by on channel 13 and 16. The tug Jaguar's clear. Tug Jaguar's clear, standing by.
Captain Eddie Ellis has sailed tugboats all over the world.
This is a deep water boat. We've made trips to Japan with this vessel, trip to Italy, trip to Africa with it. We try to run 6 people on this vessel. We run a captain, a co-captain or mate, an engineer, 2 deckhands. We also have a cook, and it happens to be my wife at the time, and she's the cook on board, and she pretty much makes us all happy. I'm smiling, so it must work.
Although Eddie's under pressure to race to the job site, he knows he mustn't endanger the $10 million cargo.
We don't think we need to push it to be there on time. We feel sure we can without pushing the limits. We do not want to do that with cargo of this magnitude. We don't want to put it in any kind of danger, because that's the main issue here, is the cargo. Without the cargo, the job isn't any good.
A chance of showers of thunderstorms. Thursday, southwest winds 10 knots.
As the barge heads out to face the open water, back in Washington, a worrying problem has emerged concerning some of the welds on the bascule girders. Jim Ruddle, the construction manager for the whole project, has just returned from a crisis meeting.
We just had a crisis meeting on the issue of welds for the girders. We were proceeding with machining the end of the interloop girder, and the way the milling machine passed across the steel and the way the light condition hit the steel, it gave our shop inspector just a question, and it didn't quite look right. So he investigated it by etching the weld and putting in some revealer, and sure enough, it identified the minute crack at the end of that weld. One of the reasons we are dealing with this issue is it's a unique structure, has massive components to it, and it's just one of the challenges that arises when you attempt to do something out of the norm.
When the bridge is finished, these girders will be constantly vibrating because of the traffic. Any defect in the welds could prove disastrous. 5 days later, the barge arrives safely from the ocean and makes its way up the Potomac River. Captain Eddie has managed to outrun the hurricanes and has succeeded in delivering the bascule sections to the job site a day early. Captain Eddie has to maneuver the load towards a mooring point downstream, while the engineers decide what to do next. Because he can't see over the load from the bridge of the tugboat, Eddie has to guide the barge in by relaying instructions from the barge to the first mate.
Make it 20 degrees right rudder.
20 degrees right rudder.
Back on the starboard engine, go ahead on the port, clutch only.
Back on the starboard, clutch on the port.
It's a difficult operation, but after half an hour of inching towards the mooring, the bascule sections have finally been delivered for the lift.
All stop.
All stop.
All stop on the starboard, that'll do it.
All stop.
The question is, are the engineers ready? Can the bridge sections be installed?
Today is Monday, August 8th, and we're scheduled to set the draw spans on Wednesday, August 10th. And we've seen some localized cracking that we want to investigate a little further to determine if we have a real issue. It may delay us, but we need to be absolutely certain before we lift this into the air that we don't have to take it down again.
The heavy lift of the new bascule sections for the Woodrow Wilson Bridge has been delayed because of concerns about some of the welds on the structure. After 4 days of investigations, the engineers decide that the cracking in the welds is only superficial and easy to rectify. The heavy lift is rescheduled for Friday, August 12th.
Every once in a while with the high heat you get a little local cracking, and we wanted to make sure that there were no long-term issues there. And once we were convinced that we were okay there, good to go. You love it when a plan comes together and you can start lifting it.
It's a go. The welds are only at the ends of the girders, and we'll be able to proceed with the heavy lift tomorrow morning.
The lift has to take place early in the morning when the tide on the Potomac River is neither rising nor falling. In charge of the lift is legendary bridge builder Hokie Del Costello. It's a big day for him because this will be his last bridge. Hokie's team of 22 ironworkers arrives at 6:30 a.m. to prepare for the lift. It's a symbolic moment.
It's a critical lift. It's a 470-ton lift. There's 17 strands in each jack. Each one of them have got to carry equal loads. So in order to do that, we don't want the tide rising because we have to go around and adjust them individually. If the tide is rising, no sooner we get around to the 17th one, the first one is loose again. So we pick this time to be the best to get our jacks evened out before we start our strokes. When it's finally lifted, I'll be relieved. People today, they drive across the bridge and think nothing of it. And there's a lot of dedication, a lot of hard work. They give a lot of things up, even sometimes their family life. These are the guys out here every day that are building bridges to cross our rivers and level our mountains.